Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and look at what has to be the absolute most unlikely, triumphant survivor in all of sci-fi horror history. When we think about the terrifying, freezing expanse of space and just the sheer brutality of extraterrestrial monsters, our minds immediately jump to heavily armed soldiers, futuristic weaponry, and epic, explosive battles for survival, right? But today, we're going to explore a completely different kind of survivor, one who literally didn't even need a pulse rifle to make it out alive.
So, in a sci-fi franchise absolutely famous for its staggering, ruthless body counts, who is the true hero that actually lives to see another day? Now, what's really interesting here is that the answer isn't some heavily armed space marine. It's not a super strong synthetic android, and it's certainly not a seasoned corporate executive with endless resources. These highly trained professionals get picked off one by one in those dark, claustrophobic corridors. Yet our true hero defies literally all of those tough guy tropes.
It's Jones, yeah, the ginger American short-hair cat who consistently manages to survive the galaxy's most dangerous predator. You heard that right. Jones, affectionately known to the fans and the crew as Jonesy. Amidst all the pure chaos, the burning acid blood, and the utter terror, this completely ordinary house cat manages to outlast pretty much everyone else. So let's explore exactly how this little feline secured his legacy as the ultimate survivor.
Let's start with Section 1, the ultimate feline survivor, and meet the Nostromo's ship cat.
Before all the screaming and running for their lives began, Jonesy was just your average working-class Mauser on a commercial towing vehicle, the Nostromo. His job was super simple: keep the ship free of rodents and just provide a little bit of comfort to the crew during those insanely long, lonely hauls across the stars. He even shared hypersleep capsules with them to make the journeys bearable. But bringing him to life on the big screen, well, that took a village. The crucial point of trivia here is the number 4. That is exactly how many look-alike cat actors were used to portray him in the groundbreaking 1979 film. Because, let's be real, cats aren't exactly known for taking direction well on a loud, bustling movie set. So the production team needed 4 distinct feline actors, each trained for specific behaviors, like running, hissing, or just being held comfortably, to pull this off.
Moving right along to Section 2, surviving the Nostromo. Let's see how a cat basically beat the Xenomorph.
Now, survival in horror usually comes down to fighting back or running really, really fast. But Jonesy, he survived through a completely different biological advantage. He was totally unsuitable for reproduction. Look, the Xenomorph is a perfect killing machine, right? But it's driven primarily by a biological imperative to reproduce using host bodies. Being a simple, small feline made Jones utterly useless to the alien for this purpose. The creature literally showed practically zero interest in him. So while the human crew members were being systematically hunted down to serve as incubators for those horrifying offspring, Jonesy's basic biology effectively gave him a free pass. Talk about a lucky break.
But his survival definitely didn't come without a super dark twist for the humans around him. The irony here is just perfectly captured during that famous nail-biting motion tracker sequence. The crew is frantically trying to locate the deadly Xenomorph, their tracker picks up a signal, the tension's absolutely unbearable, and it turns out to just be Jones. The cat gets spooked, bolts, and crew member Brett is tasked with wrangling him so he doesn't keep tripping the sensors. Well, while Brett is totally distracted trying to coax Jonesy out of hiding, the alien drops down, ambushes Brett, and drags him right up into the air shafts. And Jones? He basically just watched the whole thing happen completely unharmed and ultimately ends up safe and sound in a carry case with Ellen Ripley.
That brings us to Section 3. Safe in the sequel, sitting out the next mission.
So after escaping the exploding Nostromo in hypersleep aboard the shuttle Narcissus, Jones wakes up decades later with Ripley in an Earth-orbiting hospital. And this leads to this really fantastic piece of behind-the-scenes movie magic for the 1986 sequel, Aliens. Early on, Ripley suffers a severe PTSD nightmare about an alien bursting from her chest. During this scene, Jones gets incredibly nervous and lets out a vicious hiss. Well, director James Cameron revealed on the DVD commentary that getting a cat to authentically hiss on cue is notoriously difficult. His solution was achieved with this brilliantly simple 2-step Hollywood trick. Step 1, bring in a second, completely unknown cat. Step 2, put it close to the actor cat. Bam! Instant, genuine hostility captured right on film. Pretty clever, right?
After returning to her apartment and finally having a quiet moment to feed him, Ripley is eventually persuaded by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation to go back out into space on a new expedition. But she humorously ensures Jones will survive by giving him this absolutely memorable send-off. She looks right at him and says, "And you little shithead, are staying right here." By making him sit out this highly dangerous excursion, Ripley guarantees that Jonesy's survival streak remains perfectly unbroken. Honestly, best decision ever.
Let's move on to Section 4, 9 Lives in Print, Jones in the Expanded Universe. While Jones sits out the rest of the movie safely back on Earth, his story actually continues way beyond the silver screen. You simply can't keep a good cat down, and the expanded universe of the Alien franchise has found some brilliant ways to keep his legacy alive. Just looking at this arc, it's incredible. He starts out as a humble mouser on the Nostromo. Then, Phase 2, he survives the destruction of the ship and enters hypersleep on the Narcissus. Phase 3, decades later, he wakes up in an Earth hospital. But then, Phase 4 is where it gets really fun, spin-off books. Jones literally becomes the protagonist of his own literary adaptations. There's actually an illustrated book called Jonesy, 9 Lives on the Nostromo, which retells the terrifying events of that first film entirely from the cat's perspective. There's even a short story compilation called Cats on Film that features his point of view.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, a horror cinema legend, the critical reception of Jonesy. It's this incredible, sprawling journey from the deep reaches of space, back to the safety of Earth, and then onto the printed page that has truly cemented Jones as a legendary figure in pop culture. Fans and critics alike celebrate him as the true hero of Alien. Honestly, he inadvertently teaches us a really valuable life lesson. Sometimes when evil corporations and alien monsters are fighting it out, the absolute best thing you can do is just stay out of the way. Major entertainment outlets just heap praise on him. Screen Rant calls him one of the most beloved cats in horror cinema. Film School Rejects labels him one of the most famous felines of the screen. And he's constantly landing on lists like Insider's Top 15 Best Movie Cats and Collider's Best Animal Sidekick in Horror. In a massive franchise where almost nobody gets a happy ending, fans deeply appreciate that Jonesy is pretty much the only significant character who actually gets to live a full, long, and peaceful life. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. If a simple ginger cat can outlast the galaxy's perfect killing machine on multiple occasions, sitting comfortably in a cozy apartment while heavily armed Marines are literally being wiped out across the galaxy, who is the real apex predator? It's a really fun way to look at a brilliant piece of cinematic history. Anyway, I hope this explainer gave you a newfound appreciation for the absolute quietest, stealthiest survivor of the alien universe. Keep asking questions, keep looking at the details, and we'll see you in the next explainer.